for this class, I'll be using a size 4 yarn throughout, and it's acrylic yarn too, and a size 4mm hook. So the first thing we'll learn is how to make a slip knot. Slip knot is basically used to start every crochet project. So fold your yarn into an X like that. So there'll be like a circle in the middle, right? Then you put your hook from under and pull up a loop, and then drag the yarn to make it tight. And this is a slip knot. Now, the act of putting yarn on your hook is called yarn over. So I'm going to yarn over and then pull a yarn. So this yarn that I'm pulling is called a loop. Okay, so any yarn on your hook is called a loop. So yarn over, pull a loop like that. Yarn over, pull a loop. Yarn over, pull a loop. Okay, the build up is called a chain. Now we're going to do a chain and count the chain. Okay, so let's start. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I have 10 chains here. So throughout this class, I'll be working with 10 chains. Now let's learn the first stitch. This is the easiest stitch and the smallest stitch. It's called a slip stitch. So after I've done 10 chains, right, then I'm going to chain 1. This chain 1 is known as the turning chain. It's just for me to be able to start a row. So that chain 1 is for the first chain. Okay, then I'm going to put my hook in the second chain, right, like that, and then yarn over and pull up a loop. Okay, and then pull through the loop that was previously on my hook. So like that, we've done 2 stitches of slip stitch. Now I'm going to put my hook in the next stitch, pull up a loop, and then pull that loop through the loop on my hook. Okay, so we're using 1 loop throughout, right? In the next stitch, yarn over, pull a loop, and then pull that loop through the loop on the hook. You see, it's as easy as that. So I'm going to continue doing like that. Pull my hook in the next stitch, pull up a loop, and then pull the loop through the loop on the hook. I don't know, it's rhyming too much, but I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. Pretty much like the video is slow, so put your hook in a stitch, pull up a loop, pull that loop through the loop on the hook. I know that it's a lot of rhyme, but I'm hoping that you understand. I'm trying my best to like explain it in the easiest way possible. So I did that till I got to the end of the chain. Now, when you are doing a project and you made stitches from one end to the other, it is called a row. So we've done 1 row. To start the next, I'm going to chain 1, all right, then turn the work. Now on top of the stitch, right, you see this V looking pattern. Those are called stitches. Okay, so that first V is our first stitch, and you remember that we chained 1. So that chain 1 is for that first stitch. We're going to put our hook in the second stitch, right? Then yarn over, pull up a loop, and pull that loop through the loop on the hook. Then I'm going to put my hook in the next stitch like that, pull yarn over, pull a loop, and pull the loop through the loop on the hook. The next stitch, I'm going to continue like that. So basically in slip stitch, we only yarn over once and pull up only 1 loop. So we use 1 loop to do a slip stitch basically. So I'm going to keep doing slip stitches till I get to the end of the row. Again, how to do a slip stitch: you put your hook in a stitch, yarn over, pull a loop, and then pull the loop through the loop on the hook. Okay, just 1 loop. So you just continue like that till you get to the end. So now we've done 2 rows, okay, because we've gone from one edge to the other twice. All right, so I'm going to do row 3 the same way I did row 2. Chain 1, then I'm going to turn my work. Since that chain 1 is for the first stitch, I'm going to put my hook in the second stitch. Yarn over, pull up a loop, and then pull up through the loop on the hook. Okay, so I'm just going to keep doing that. So I'm going to do 5 rows in total, and this is what it looks like after I've done 5 rows. Then I'm going to chain 1 and cut off my yarn. This is known as fastening off. That's when you're finishing off the project and you cut off the yarn. Alright, so this is what 5 rows of slip stitch looks like. As you can see, even though we did 5 rows, it looks really small. So slip stitch works up slowly. I'm going to talk about single crochet. Okay, I'm going to start with a chain of 10. Like I said, that's what I'll be working on throughout this class. After that, I'll chain 1, and like in slip stitch, that chain 1 will be for the first chain. Okay, so I'm going to put my hook in the second chain. All right, then yarn over, pull up a loop. Now I have 2 loops on my hook, then yarn over, pull up a loop, and pull through both loops. So I'm going to go ahead and put my hook in the next chain like that. Yarn over, pull a loop. I have 2 loops on my hook. Yarn over, pull a loop through both loops. So this is how you do a single crochet. So I'm going to continue like that. In the next chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, and then pull a loop through the 2 loops on my hook. Again, pull my hook in the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop. I have 2 loops on my hook, pull a loop through both loops. So I'm going to be doing that till I get to the end of the chain. So one thing I want you to put in mind is when you are crocheting, right, you have to count the number of stitches that you are doing. So the number of stitches should be equal to the number of chain that you started with. So I started with 10 chain, so I should have 10 stitches. And this is what single crochet looks like. You can see it's a little bit bigger than slip stitch. Now to start the second row, I'm going to chain 1 and turn my work. Remember that chain 1 will be for the first stitch, right? So I'm going to put my hook in the second stitch, not in the first, in the second stitch, right? Then yarn over, pull a loop. I have 2 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull a loop through both loops. So I've done 2 stitches, the chain 1 being the first stitch and this stitch I just did being the second. And then I'm going to do another single crochet. That's the third one. Another single crochet, number 4. Another single crochet, number 5. Number 6. Okay, the next one, number 7. Number 8. The next one, number 9, and in the last stitch like that, number 10. Remember that I started with a chain of 10, right? Now my stitches is also 10, so they are equal. This will make the edges of my project straight. So I'm going to do 5 rows of single crochet in total and show you what it looks like. Now after 5 rows, this is what it looks like. Then I'm going to go ahead and fasten off like that. Pull my yarn, make sure that it is tight. Okay, so this is what single crochet looks like. It also looks compacted, but it's not as compacted as slip stitch. Half double crochet. All right, so I'm going to start with a chain of 10. Now to start half double crochet rows, there are 2 methods. Okay, so I'm going to show you. The first method is by chaining 2, right? One, two. So this chain two will be our turning chain. That means it's for the first chain of the row. You know the 10 chain that we did. So this chain two is for the first chain, and then I'm going to put my hook in the second chain. So first I'm going to yarn over. So I have 2 loops on my hook, then put my hook in the second chain from that 10 chain that we started with, right? Yarn over, pull up a loop. So I have 3 loops on my hook now. Okay, now I'm going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. Right, that way we have 2 stitches now, the chain 2 and the stitch that we just did. Okay, so I'm going to yarn over again, put my hook in the next chain, yarn over and pull a loop. I have 3 loops on my hook, yarn over and pull through all 3. So now for the second method, instead of chaining 2, I'm going to chain only 1, right? And that chain 1 will be the turning chain, but this time around we're going to yarn over and then put our hook in that first stitch. Okay, you know usually we used to skip the first stitch, but this time we'll put the hook in the first stitch, yarn over, pull through a loop. I have 3 loops on my hook, and then yarn over, pull through all 3. So that way that will be our first stitch. So in the first method, chain 2 was our first stitch, but in this second method we just did a half double crochet directly in the first stitch. So I'm going to continue and yarn over, put your hook in the next chain, yarn over, pull a loop, then there's 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops, like that. So that's how you do a half double crochet. So in slip stitch we are only using 1 loop, right? In single crochet we are pulling through 2 loops, right? Then half double crochet we'll pull through 3 loops, right? So I'm going to continue like that till I get to the end of the row. So now I've gotten to the end of the row, that's row 1. Then to start row 2, you chain 1, turn your work, then yarn over and then put your hook in the first stitch. For half double crochet we are not skipping the first stitch, remember, put your hook in the first stitch, yarn over, pull a loop, then you have 3 loops on your hook, then yarn over, pull a loop through all 3 loops. So that will be our first stitch. Remember that I said the number of stitches must equal the number of chain that you started with. So I'm going to go in the next stitch and do a half double crochet like that. That's stitch number 2. Yarn over, put my hook in the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull up through all 3 loops. That's number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, number 7, number 8, number 9, and then the last one, and that's 10. So the number of my stitches is equal to the number of my chain. As you can see, the edges are also straight. So if your number is more or less than the number of chain that you started with, that means there's a mistake somewhere. So I'm going to start the next row, and I'm going to do 5 rows in total, and I'll show you what it looks like after doing 5 rows. So this is what it looks like after 5 rows. So now I'm going to fasten off, chain 1, and then cut my yarn. That's how you fasten off. Okay, so you just pull out that yarn and then pull it to be tight. So this is what a half double crochet stitch looks like. As you can see, the edges are straight because the number of stitches in each row is equal to the number of chains that I started with. Okay, so you have to put that in mind. Double crochet, right? So I'm going to start with chain 10 as usual, and then I'm going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. So this 3 is our turning chain for the double crochet, and it also serves as our first stitch, right? So I'm going to yarn over, and I'm going to put my hook in the second stitch, right? Because this chain 3 is for the first, then I'll yarn over, put my hook in the second stitch. Okay, then yarn over, pull a loop. So I have 3 loops on my hook, as you can see, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops, 1, 2. Then I have 2 loops left on my hook, yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops. So now we have 2 stitches, right? Yarn over, put my hook in the next chain, and yarn over, pull up a loop. I have 3 loops on my hook, like that. Then I'm going to yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops. I'm going to be left with 2 loops on my hook. Yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops. And that's how we do a double crochet stitch. And yarn over, put my hook in the next chain, yarn over, pull through a loop. Then I'm going to have 3 loops, yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the last 2 loops. So I'm going to do this till I get to the end of the chain. Now let's count the stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. See, if your stitches is not equal to the number of chain that you started with, that means you've made a mistake. Now to start the next row, I'm going to chain 3, and that 3 will serve as our first stitch. Okay, so I'm going to yarn over, put my hook in the next stitch, yarn over, pull through a loop. I have 3, yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops. I have 2 left, yarn over, pull through the last 2. So that's basically how you do a double crochet. So I'm just going to continue doing like that till I get to the end of the row. And like other stitches, I'm going to do 5 rows in total and show you what it looks like. And I'm only doing 10 chains and 5 rows just for the sake of this class, so that I can just like explain the stitches. So I'm just going to keep repeating this step till I get to the last stitch. So when I get to the last stitch, I'm going to explain how to do it properly, that your edges will be straight. So now this is the last stitch. Remember that we chained 3 as our turning chain, so you're going to put your hook in the 3rd chain. When you count it, 1, 2, 3, the 3rd chain is where you're going to put your hook, right? And then pull a loop and do a double crochet. So that way your edge will be straight, as you can see. So now to start the next row, I'm going to chain 3, and that will serve as our first stitch and our turning chain. You yarn over, put your hook in the next stitch, yarn over, pull through a loop, yarn over, pull through first 2 loops, yarn over, pull through last 2 loops. Okay, so I'm going to do a total of 5 rows and then I'll fasten off. So this is what it looks like after 5 rows. As you can see, it's bigger than slip stitch, single crochet, and half double crochet, and it also has like more holes than the previous stitches. Treble or triple crochet, you can call it either of the two. And I started with chain of 10, after which I'm going to go ahead to chain 4. So this chain 4 is our turning chain, right? So that means it's for the first stitch. I'm going to yarn over twice. Okay, 1, 2. So I have 3 loops on my hook. Okay, then I'm going to put my hook on in the second stitch. All right, remember we chained 4. That chain 4 is for the first stitch, so I'm going to put my hook in the next stitch and pull up a loop. So I have 4 loops on my hook now. Okay, so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to yarn over like that, pull through the first 2 loops, and then I'm going to have 3 loops on my hook, then yarn over, pull through the second 2 loops. I'm going to be left with 2, yarn over, pull through the last 2. So we have 2 stitches. Then I'm going to yarn over 2 times. Okay, so you have to have 3 loops on your hook before you put your hook in the next stitch. Yarn over, pull up a loop. Now I have 4 loops on my hook. Yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops. Then I'm going to be left with 3 loops. Yarn over, pull through the second 2 loops. I'm going to be left with 2 loops and yarn over, pull through the last 2. And that's how you do a treble crochet. So I'm going to continue like that till I get to the last chain. Okay, so you yarn over 2 times, put your hook in the next stitch, pull up a loop. You have 4 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops, you're left with 3. Yarn over, pull through the second 2 loops, you're left with 2. Yarn over, pull through the last 2. Okay, so I'm just going to continue till I get to the end. Now I'm done and we're going to count our stitch. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. So you want to make sure that you're counting your stitches as you work. Now for the next row, you're going to start with chain 4 because we are doing treble crochet. Okay, so this chain 4 is our first stitch, right? So I'm going to yarn over twice. Okay, for treble crochet we're yarning over twice. Put my hook in the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop. You have 4 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through the first 2, you're left with 3. Yarn over, pull through the second 2, you're left with 2. Yarn over, pull through the last 2. Okay, so that's basically how to do it, treble crochet. You just have to make sure that you're counting your stitches as you go. The number of your stitches must be equal to the number of chain that you started with. That way your stitches will remain equal and not more or less. Okay, because if it becomes more or less, your stitches is not going to be straight. I mean, the edges of your project will not be straight. So like every other stitch, I'm going to do 5 rows of treble crochet, and then I'll show you what it looks like after. So this is what it looks like after. As you can see, this stitch is very tall and it has more holes than the other stitches that we've done. Now these are the basic stitches: slip stitch, single crochet, half double crochet, double crochet, and treble crochet. Now let's talk about the differences between these stitches. Slip stitch is very tight, it doesn't have any hole in it, and it's not stretchy. Single crochet on the other hand is tight, but it's not as tight as slip stitch. It's stretchy a little bit and it has very little holes in it. Half double crochet is big and more stretchy and it has more holes, so it works up faster than the 2 previous stitches. Now double crochet is bigger and it has more hole and it stretches more. Also, it works up faster than the previous stitches. Now treble crochet is the tallest stitch and it has a lot of holes in it and it stretches a lot. So depending on what kind of project you are making, you're going to select your stitches as needed. So those are the basic crochet stitches.